So he got me out of the car. I don't remember getting out of the car. I just remember being laid on the floor, in and out of consciousness. And all I can hear is Kevin, what I can only describe as a near-death groan.
It's a death sentence.
So
welcome.
Yeah, welcome to It's a Death Sentence. We're here today with Ross, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for a very long time. Very, very long time. Yeah, thank you for agreeing to be part of our show. As you know, we are trying to raise... Weird, yeah.
We are weird,
We're trying to make a body of work that would mean anybody that's in our situation could go into it and go, right, I want to know about what it's like to lose a sister or a brother or a dad or a mum, and they can find something within our podcast that they can relate to. And so today, I know that you have experienced many losses, many significant losses, and recently as well.
Yep.
So I realise that this, it's not an easy thing to talk about. It's hard, and we're very grateful to you. But if it's okay with you, we'll start just by asking you, so your sister, it's over 20 years since you lost your sister.
It's 22 years this year.
22 years this year. And she is the same age as me, so she would be 44 this year.
I'm 46, so yeah, she'll be 44,
Yeah. And so before we go on to talk about Alexa and that loss, prior to losing your sister, had you experienced any other significant losses?
My memory's terrible, but I had, yes. I couldn't tell you who, I don't think.
Grandparents?
I think James Markison might have been before my sister, wasn't? Do you remember James Markison?
No.
He was before her.
Spencer was after.
Spencer was before.
Spencer was before. But
Spencer
it was within
died.
weeks, wasn't it?
Spencer died in the August, took his own life.
Yeah.
Nearly a month to the day my sister had the accident, and then nearly a month to the day after that, another friend, Karen, she took her life.
Yeah.
So, and I had a phone call at 6 o'clock in the morning off Drabble to say that Karen's threatening to take her own life. And I said, don't be ridiculous. I said, she's just been to 2 funerals. I said, why would she do that? I said, I was with her last weekend. I said, I didn't get that impression. And he said, no, she's threatened to do it. And I said, look, it's 6 in the morning, I'm in bed. I says, let me know if it gets any worse. If I need to ring Colin or Dad, let me know. So he rang me. Do you want to talk about this?
Absolutely, yeah.
He rang me, he said, look, she's threatened to kill herself. And I said, do I need to phone her dad? And he said, yes, you do. I said, fine, okay. So I phoned her dad and I said, look, Colin, I don't want to alarm you. I said, I'm getting word that Karen's threatening to take her own life. And he went, okay. It didn't surprise him, which was funny to me, felt funny to me. And he said, okay, I'll try and get hold of her. And he phoned me back and he said, okay, I've got hold of her. He said, she's taking the kids to school. She's going to come round for a cup of tea. I said, okay, good, perfect. So let me know how you get on. I said, I hope it's nothing, but And then I had a text message off Karen herself saying, goodbye, Ross, I love you. And I phoned him and I told him, I said, I've just had this message through. He said, oh, shit, I've got to find her. So I went straight up to her house and she was hanging from the beam in her bedroom.
Gosh.
So she was still alive at the time. And they phoned me. I had a phone call off Drabble because he was there, because he'd had the same message, I think. And I phoned him, actually. I was working in Warwick near the hospital and I phoned him. And I said, what's going on? He says, I wasn't going to phone you just yet. He said, they're working on her in the ambulance at the minute. He said, she is still alive. I said, all right. I said, keep me posted. So really weirdly, I'm on a machine and I've heard a siren coming into Warwick in an ambulance. And you do think that, you think, is that her? Is that what? Anyway, the siren went off. And it was deathly quiet. My phone rang. It said, she's just died in the ambulance. And I was like, wow. She's left you a note and the police have kept it for now. And I said, I don't want the note. She's been to my sister's funeral, Spencer's funeral. And she's gone and done that to us. Just
too much. It's too much. Too much. And so this was really in very close succession, wasn't it? So your sister, what month was it?
September 7th.
And then Spencer?
He was August.
So he was first.
Early August.
Yeah.
It was a month. And
then a month,
yeah.
And how old, just for our listeners, Ross, how old were you when Alexa died?
24.
So at 24 years old, which is no age, I mean, when we look back, do you not look at yourself as a child? At 24, I think, I didn't know anything. You think you know the world, you think you know everything and you don't.
You do. I mean, I had a as you know, I had a near-death car accident when I was 21. Put me in intensive care.
Would you mind, expanding on that for us as well?
I can do. I was on the way home from work one night and I've just filled up with fuel, and a woman who we all know, well, some of us know, was driving down the lane. It had just been a very hot day. I'd just finished on the farm. We had a shower of rain. The road was slippy. I was coming up the lane. She was coming down and she lost it on a bend. She was going fast. She saw me, touched the brakes, lost it because it was greasy. Her car came across onto my carriageway and hit the front corner of the car. So they reckon it was a combined smash of about 120 mile an hour. I was doing about 60. She was doing about the same. So lucky to be alive, really. It knocked me out. I came round and she managed to get the door open. And I looked and I said, oh, hello, so-and-so. I said, where am I? What's going on? She said, oh, I've hit you. I've crashed into you. And I said, the smell's burning. I said, I need to get out of here. So she said, what do you need me to do? And I said, pull a runner on the chair so I can get out. So she couldn't move the chair. So I managed to hold onto the roof and get out of the car and walk with her support to her car and sat in her passenger seat. Fortunately, a local doctor who lived in Lowsonford was going to a ball. She was driving past at the time. And she got a bag with her and she stopped.
Wow.
She opened, she said, oh, hi, Ross. I said, hi, Alex. Obviously knew her as well. So
This is what happens when you live in little places. Little community.
So she said, right, okay. She goes, I've got to have to cut your clothes off. She goes, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. So I sat there. She said, where's your pain? I said, I've got a bit of pain in my ankle. I said, I think I've broken my ankle. So she said, okay. So she cut my trouser leg up. She injected me with morphine straight away. I was more or less gone. And they got the spine board. They got me out of the woman's car that hit me, put me into the ambulance, took me to Warwick. They wouldn't let me look at my foot. They dosed me up with morphine. They were gluing my face up because that was all cut. Claire was there. Claire got there. They had to get her a seat because I think it wasn't the best. My face wasn't the best. So they kept me there. They put me in intensive care. I was in intensive care for the night. And the next day, they thought I'd broken my neck. But basically, I had 2 broken legs, shattered foot, suspected broken neck, and my arm was out here and my face was all cut open. I was a month in hospital. I was 2 months in a wheelchair, and it took me 12 months to get back on my feet and go working again, learning to walk, and not learning to walk, but when I first got up from being in a wheelchair for so long,
You get muscle weakness, don't you?
muscle weakness for being in a wheelchair and not being mobile. I mean, I went around the house on a skateboard. I had to pee in a bottle. It was a struggle to get on and off the toilet. And when I first stood up, I got vertigo. The ceiling came like that and I got vertigo and I had to get down and I had to gradually get myself up to a point that I could stand up without feeling sick. And then it went into the next thing of having a boot on and practicing with crutches and getting the rhythm back walking and building muscle and everything, So it was 12 months off.
Did you, at any time during that, I mean, I remember this happening. I obviously saw you at that time. Was there ever a time, because I don't think I ever spoke to you about the accident itself, and you said you were unconscious. Was there ever a time where you weren't sure what was going on? You never had any kind of when you say you've had a near-death experience in a very physical way, you've had a near-death experience. There's no two ways about it. But did it ever make you think, what's beyond? Is there something really looking after me or is it trying to hurt me,
I think when I was in that situation, all I remember about being in intensive care is hearing the buzzers, and there was an absolutely, I don't know whether I was dreaming or not, but an absolutely gorgeous, stunning nurse that kept coming over, asking me if I was all right and if I needed anything.
That's the morphine. She's actually called Barbara.
20 stone.
Oh my! Thank God for morphine.
I know, yeah. It's the first time I'd ever had morphine, and I just kept looking at her and thinking, "Wow, you're gorgeous." But no, all I wanted was a drink, but they wouldn't give me a drink because I was nil by mouth because they were going to operate on me the next day. Yeah. But no, there was nothing. I was more concerned about having shit myself and and just being in a complete state. But I thought, I've got a broken ankle. Why is this going? Why are they going so mad? Because when I thought I've got a broken ankle, I'll be out tonight. That was all went through my head. I broke my ankle, I'll be out tonight. They actually turned around and they said, well, my parents said they won't let you look at your foot because it was blown up like a football and your toes are pointing to the right.
Yeah, offended it.
Yeah. They said that's why they wouldn't look at your foot. So they had to relocate my foot to put it all back together. Then I had an 8-hour operation with my parents there for the whole 8 hours whilst he reconstructed it, because he said at any point through this operation, he said, I may have to cut his foot off and I will need your consent.
Oh my God.
So he came out, he said, look, it's the worst one I have ever managed to save. He says, but I have just saved it. But if he damages it again in the future, it's off.
Wow.
So
you got yourself a job in construction. Brilliant. Putting yourself at risk. Ross, remind me, that accident, was that prior to Alexa's death or after?
Prior, yeah.
How
So
long before?
I was 21.
Okay, so a few years.
Yeah, a few years, yeah.
Yeah.
So we went through that. My parents went through the trauma of that.
Your parents, my God, they have been through, haven't they?
But there's another story after that. Another car accident. But if you look at this situation, I've had a near-death car accident. My sister's passed away. Karen's passed away. I'm then in a vehicle with Kevin, Karen's brother. Yeah, we'd just been shooting. His son is training to be a Michelin star chef. He's going to cook food for us. We went to his shed. He said, look at this car I've just imported from Mallorca. He said, let's go for a spin. And I said, oh, we don't need to go for a spin in it. He said, no, come on, let's go for a spin. And he pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. I said, okay, fine. So we went up the end of his drive. And bearing in mind, this guy's a rally driver. I've been in a Group N Subaru Impreza with him at 120 mile an hour around trees, and he's never missed a beat, right? We've been on it, yeah? We've got to the end of his drive. He's sat there. The gates have opened. He's literally floored it, and I've gone, what's he doing? Next thing, the back end of the car's gone out. We've hit the first tree, which has knocked me out, clean out. We've then spun. We've hit the second tree, and it's taken, his left-hand drive the car was, it's taken the side of the car out, and it's completely destroyed his side of the compartment. It's only a 2-seater. His side of the car's gone. I'll show you a picture in a minute, yeah? So I'm out cold. I don't know what's going on. The only thing I know is his neighbour comes up, opens the door. He said, oh shit, Ross, it's you. He said, are you okay? And I went, yeah. And again, I'm in the car and I've got blood pouring down my face. And I said, I can't see. He said, you've cut your head. I said, right. I said, something's really annoying me in my mouth. And I pulled the visor down. It's an old car, so there's no mirror. And he says, your tooth's broken. So I pulled that out and threw it away. Because I didn't know what I was doing. It was annoying me. So I pulled it out. He said, look, I can smell petrol. He said, I'm going to get you out. He said, are you okay? Is your neck hurt or anything? I said, no, fine. Where am I? And I kept saying, where am I? So delirious, where am I? This was worse than the other accident. But ironically, I came out with less injuries. So he said, I'm going to get you out of the car. I said, yeah, whatever. So he got me out of the car. I don't remember getting out of the car. I just remember being laid on the floor, in and out of consciousness. And all I can hear is Kevin, what I can only describe as a near-death groan. Yeah, and I've since found out why, because he's got a collapsed lung. Yeah, and he's trying to breathe, and he's literally embedded in the tree. So I'm laying there, and I'm going, "Where am I? And then Kevin's dad was at the house because we'd like I said we've been shooting, and he comes up and he says, "Right, you okay, Ross?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." I said, "Where am I?" He says, "You've had an accident." I said, "What accident?" And I can remember looking up at him, and then I'm gone again. And he says, they're going to take you to what?
Was that because you were in and out of consciousness? In and out of
consciousness constantly. And he said, they're going to take you to Redditch in the ambulance. And I said, yeah, okay. Got in the ambulance, went down. It wasn't until I'd been in hospital, I don't know how long I've been there, but just as my parents were walking into the ward, I came round and everything kind of started setting in as to why I'm in hospital. I started realising where I was and what's happened. And I sat there and they come in shaking their heads at me. And
so to say, not again.
What are you doing?
Did you check your ankles quickly? Yeah. Don't say I'll fuck that up.
I sat there and I said, she goes, what happened? I said, I don't know. I said, we're coming out the end of his drive. And I said, he's just lost it. I said, we've gone from a standstill to losing it. And I said, we've hit trees. I said, I remember hitting the first tree. I don't remember anything other than waking up now. So I said, where is he? She said, they've airlifted him to Woolsgrave. I said, right. She said, we're waiting to hear. I said, I don't know what happened. I just don't know what happened. I can't explain what happened. But that is myself and Karen's brother. So we've both lost our sisters. Both families have lost a daughter. And now we're in a car that is totaled and we both quite easily could have died.
And you both survived it.
Well, we did both survive it, but for I think 4 weeks after that, Claire was pregnant with Poppy, which was another headache. Because Spencer phoned her and she said, I'm heavily pregnant. She goes, I can't go. So she phoned my parents in the state and they came down. And Kevin was put in an induced coma. He was that badly injured. He was put in an induced coma and he was bedridden. And Colin was phoning me daily. His dad just So I was phoning him saying, what's any updates? No. And it got to sort of 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. And I said, I'm not going to keep phoning you, Colin. I said, you let me know if there's any change, yeah? So the next day my phone rang and I went, I answered it. And he went, he's sitting up out the bed and wants to talk to you and you only. I've gone, how come? I said, yesterday, he was in a coma. He said, well, they've managed to bring him round and get him out of it. And he wants to talk to you and you only. I said, fine. So we got there. I got to hospital and I sat down. He goes, what happened? I said, you tell me. I said, I have no idea what happened. I said, you're a very good driver. I said, we've been on the rally scene. I said, you came out of that gate, you floored it, the back end went, and that's all I remember, other than your death groans against the tree. And that's what they were. He's trying to get in. He's trying to get anyway. I spoke to a friend of mine who's in the fire service. And he said, I wasn't on that call. He said, but I spoke to him who's in the ambulance service. And they were being told to be discreet because he wasn't going to make it. And they were literally getting scissors and just stabbing his lungs just to get air in. That's how serious it was. So he sat up in bed. Anyway, long story short, he is still alive. He is doing well. I was with him the other day. He had a like a bit of a growth or something going on behind his eye socket, and that was growing. I mean, it's not cancerous, but it was growing. They can't operate on it because where it is, but they're doing lots of drugs to shrink it. And providing they're shrinking it, he's okay. But he had a seizure basically at the wheel, so he was already out cold. Luckily,
that's what had caused it.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so he's out cold. He's had a seizure. His foot's hit the throttle, and that because it's a sports car, the rear wheels have gone, and it's literally gone. We've hit the first tree. Fortunately, I think what saved me is we've hit the first tree, and that's knocked me out. As we've hit the second tree, his driver's side compartment's gone, and he connected with my head, because the only injuries I had were a lot of work on my teeth. I've had root canals and teeth out and teeth in and all sorts, because his head connected with my head, and I was pushed over, because when I show you the picture, his compartment's completely gone.
So did he end up on top of you, basically?
He was more or less on top of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for us both to survive that crash, people that have seen the car have gone, I don't know how the hell
anybody got about it. Yeah. Ross, I've got to ask you, with all of these things, do you think God is looking after you if there is one, or is he coming for you? It's really hard to say, isn't it?
I don't know. I've been very fortunate to get out of those two. I've had other minor car accidents as well and other stuff, but I've been very fortunate to get out of those two alive. But I've lost a lot of people, as you said. I've got a pile that thick of order of services in the office that I go back to every now and again. Usually when I've been to another funeral, I put it in and I'll have a look back and just see who's touched my life over it. And I look at it and think, do you know what? I know how precious life is. I know how easy it can turn. And I think for my sister, she was very unlucky that day. And I've been lucky, very lucky. And like Mum and Dad always say, you're better to be born lucky than rich. She had a very unfortunate accident. That's the only way I can describe it. But yes, I am very fortunate, but you do look at life very differently after those life events.
Yeah, and how could you not? How could you not?
I mean, it's a broad question, but that loss with your sister, did that change your outlook on life? I know you said because of you obviously you value life more, don't you?
Initially, probably not, but I can't remember back that far. I think I was just dealing with the grief. But then since then, it does impact your life, and it does make you change your life to you do different things. I think I was quite a laid back guy. I wasn't bothered about stuff. Now I've got I have to have a clean house, and I have to have my life in order, and I think that affected me.
Like an element of control. Things you can control.
Things I can control.
Yeah.
And it drives me mad daily. It drives other people mad, people that I work with daily as well. But if something starts to get out of control or a little bit out of the way, then I have to bring things back in, and I have to get it back under my control. And I struggle with patience. I struggle with control. I struggle with, I guess it's not OCD, but we all laugh and joke about it being OCD. But I have to have things in. And as I'm getting older, it is getting better. But it's still there, and I don't think it will ever leave.
And do you think that that's a thing that's developed as you've got older, or did that develop when you were a young adult? Because you were only young when you lost your sister, weren't you? So did it develop then, or were there elements of it and it's got worse as you've got older?
I think I've analysed life a lot more as I've got older. And I analyse life based on my past and what's happened to me and what's happened to friends and my sister and everything. I look at life, I feel, a lot differently to other people. People that haven't experienced that, I don't think they quite understand why you do the things you do and why you adjust your life. I mean, I'm a massive risk taker, and I will do stupid things that could cause me to lose my life. But I think, do you know what? You've got to experience those things, and you've got to do that. And
That is life, isn't it?
It's life, yeah. And I think I could die tomorrow, and if I haven't done this, that, and the other, I'll have lost out. And I want to do those things. I want to jump out of a plane, which I've done. I want to do that zip line in Wales, which I've done. I want to go wakeboarding. I want to go skiing. I want to do stuff that can physically harm me, and I could die doing some of it.
But what a way to go.
What a way to go.
Isn't it interesting that you could, and we hear it, don't we, go one way or the other, having experienced significant loss. You could, especially
you could stay at home, lock yourself in
and you've had accidents. You could, you could choose. I'm not going to do that. That's dangerous. I'm not going to do that. That's dangerous. I'm not going to do that. Or you go the other way, where you go, I'm going to do all the most dangerous things I can find. Yeah. And I wonder whether that's just part of our human psyche, whether we just go all in or all out.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know the answer to it, but it's interesting, isn't it, when you hear Ross's story and then listen to the activities you're choosing are all fairly full on, aren't they?
The way I look at life is you've got to do what you need to do, and if it's going to get you, it's going to get you. It's out of your control. Yeah. You cannot control when
it's coming for all
the
of
big
us.
man's coming for you. Yeah. We're all in a queue, like this shit you see on social media where everyone's going up at some point. You're all in a big queue. When your time's up, your time's up. Doesn't matter what you do in life, I feel. If you're destined to be in a car crash, you could live the bulk of your life. You could go out at 84 in a car crash. If that's what's meant for you, that's what's meant for you. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do.
Do you think it's predetermined in that way then?
I feel it is. Yeah.
That's interesting. I like it. Yeah.
I feel it is. Someone said to me once, a friend of Sausage's actually, he said, when you're born, he says, you've got a date stamped on your neck. Yeah. Yeah. He says, doesn't matter what you do in your life, when that date comes in, that date comes in. He says, you want to live your life till that date happens. And I get that. I say that to people, and people are like, don't be stupid, don't be ridiculous. That's just a stupid way of looking at it. But I look at it.
It's no more stupid than any other way of looking at it.
I think you're born with a date on your neck. Yeah. You do whatever you want in life. Look at these people that do the Isle of Man TT. Yeah. They fly around that island at uncontrollable speeds. There's people die every year. Yeah. But people have done it 10, 15, 20 years in a row. Yeah. They're still going 180, 220 miles an hour on a motorbike through country roads, past houses, yeah? One split second, bang, they're dead, yeah? They're still doing it. Why are they doing it?
Because they love it.
Yeah.
And you could
argue, couldn't you, with that philosophy or that idea that you've just said, we've all got our number, then you may as well do something like that, because you could just go out and be doing something really boring or a job you hate and still die.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Be reckless, enjoy your life, do what you need to do to make you feel fulfilled, because one day you've had it and that's it.
Just going back briefly, Ross, to what you were saying about that element of control and needing to control things and having, your things in order that you can do. How do you think that has impacted your relationships with other people? So with your family, with your partners, with friends, do you think that, that grief that's manifested however you think it has into that element of control, you have touched on it already. Has that been something that people have challenged you over? Or
definitely affected
do they know that that's part of your grief?
They do. Most people do, I think. The people really close to me do. And like I've explained to them, I've had counselling for this type of thing. And the lady that I saw, she put it in, in straight terms, the fact that I think differently to other people, and I can't expect other people to think like I do. So therefore, if you're with someone that's untidy or messy, then that's they don't see the problem. They don't see what you see. You see it differently to them. So that's up to you. And I've worked really hard on not just with mess and cleaning and tidying stuff, but just with life in general. And you got to look at, people don't see things how you see things. One example, my brother had a big extension down in Brighton, and I went down there and I sat on the toilet and I thought, this toilet's wobbly. That should be fixed. It's not fixed. And I opened the door and I said, there's not enough screws and hinges. And I started looking around and I said, there's loads of stuff that the builder's missed. Yeah. He's like, don't be stupid. He's done a great job. And I said, no, he's missed loads. And he goes, what do you mean? So I showed him and I went around the whole lot and I said, you need a snagging list. What's one of those? And I said, this stuff he needs to finish. He goes, I haven't seen any of this. People don't see what you see.
Yeah.
Yeah. People see things
not
differently.
Just physically, like everything.
People see life differently. People see everything differently. So however you see things, you've got to be prepared for someone else to have a different opinion, a different sight on what they see. And and I've struggled with that in life to to learn that, and because of what's gone on in my life, and I've had to learn to adapt myself to look past things and relax with things, and not some of the staff that work for me, not rip their head off when they do something.
Sound like me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like.
You know, sometimes I walk in and I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do
And they're like, they can't see
They
why
can't
they
see.
wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
They can't see why they wouldn't, and I have it daily.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? And do you think that, you know, it's hard to sort of see other people's point of view when you're quite structured and you think you're quite logical? You know, of course, that's common sense.
Yeah.
It's mad how many people haven't got that.
It's the people lack common sense. That's the biggest
Absolutely,
thing.
yeah.
Common sense in this world is the biggest thing that people lack. I'm fortunate. I feel like I've got loads of common sense, yeah, but a lot of people haven't. And you look at it. I mean, some things I probably do, and people think, why would he do that?
But in your head,
In my head, it's right.
Yeah, it's
so
right.
you've got to, you know.
I think it's the variety of people, that's part of the spice of life, isn't it? Everyone's different, which is nice, because if we're all the same, it'd be really boring. But I am similar in a lot of ways. I like order. I like things a certain way, and I get irritated, and I'm really trying to work on myself and my reaction.
Yeah.
Because it's my problem, isn't it, that I'm irritated?
That's your problem, not their
It's
problem.
not their
That's your
fault.
problem,
It's my problem.
And
So
that's
I'm,
what I've had to work with,
it's hard. Do you think that having lost so many people, it's made you more compassionate to other people when they have a loss, say?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because I think that, you know, having lost my brother and having lost your dad, and you become more aware of how you talk to people around those things.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's always been people, particularly our culture, we don't say anything. We go, oh, that's a bit scary. I'd rather not. Makes me feel uncomfortable, so I'm not going to say anything. So I always think, you know, I was brought up, my dad particularly, you know, I'm always put in mind of your sister at this time when you rang me about singing at her funeral. And I turned to my dad, tears in my eyes, and I said, Ross has just asked me, and he said, well, then you must. That was, always say something, do what you can do. But actually, and this really fits in with what you've said, is not everybody sees the world through your eyes, and not everybody's experienced your loss, and not everybody can understand that level of compassion that you've got to have for another human being.
Yeah.
And actually, I agree with what you said earlier. We've said it before. It's not that somebody who hasn't experienced loss can't be sympathetic and kind, but can they truly be empathetic and understand? Then I don't think they can. Do you?
No. It's different strokes for different folks, but I guess the more it happens to you, I feel that I'm quite hardened to it now. Although I get very emotional, I'm an emotional person. When stuff happens, I used to cry at every funeral, or try and fight the tears at every funeral. I go to funerals now, I don't cry, I don't get upset.
Is that because you've been to too many?
I do, yeah, I do. Depending on the eulogy, I do. If it goes really deep, I can start to fight it. But I now go there, and it doesn't affect me like it used to, because I guess I feel I've become hardened to it. And the other day I had a phone call or a message actually saying, I've heard about Nick Smith, another good friend that I used to race. Well, they used to race minis. I used to drive the race truck for them. Again, 56 years old, loving family. His funeral's on Monday. Just dropped down day 56 of a heart attack, you know. And I sort of thought, wow. And you take a minute to let it in, and you process it. But it doesn't surprise me anymore. Death doesn't surprise me. It just, you think, okay, another one's gone. You go to the funeral, you move on. And that's why I like to keep the order of services, really, because you move on. Your life goes on. You forget people, you forget your life. Life moves so fast, you forget that. And you to go back to those order of services and look at the people that have touched your life in one way or another over the years, and you have that little memory about them, and then you put it away again, you've got that memory.
And that's
and
enough.
that livens that memory up again of that person.
Do you feel grateful, Ross, that you aren't as affected as you would have been some years ago when you hear of somebody else dying? Or do you feel like you've become slightly desensitised because of the amount?
Yeah, desensitised.
Do you know, I think I agree with that. I think if it happens to you enough, and it happens to you with significant mums, dads, sisters, brothers, if it happens to you when you're young, and it keeps happening, and it's friends, and it's suicide, and it's accidents, I think you get to a point where you just can't feel the same as you did 5 deaths ago.
Yeah, you don't. It changes you.
It changes you
It changes you.
fundamentally.
I was in the office the other day, and we're not just talking about death, we're talking about business and everything else. And Sarah turned around to me and she said, she goes, are you just at the point now where something happens and you just think, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You shrug your shoulders. That much shit's happening in your life. You think, do you know what? Fuck it, I don't care. Because you're never going to have a perfect life. You're never going to have that dream that everyone wants. Every time, like I've said to them in the office, I said, he gives with one, he takes away with another. Yeah. And he all the time. You think you're on a high, you're on the way, yeah. Someone's there to kick you right back down.
Absolutely.
And you just think, what is life all about? And as I've got older and into my 40s, I've analysed it a lot more. And I look at it, and I'm probably wrong to do it. I'm famous for going too deep with things, and I need to stop that. And I need to stop taking things so seriously. I need to relax, enjoy life, live for the moment. Don't live for the future. Don't live in the past.
Yeah.
But I can't. I'm constantly looking to the future. I'm constantly engineering, trying to engineer stuff, and it just doesn't happen. And then something happens, you think, why am I bothering?
Yeah.
And it resets you back to, do you know what? It's out of my control. All this life is out of my control. All I can do is do what I need to do to survive and get through it. And we'll have highs, we'll have lows, but you can't take it too seriously. In fact, I've got a picture on my phone. There's a guy with a beard, like a Hell's Angel, on a pink bike, with a leather jacket on. It says, don't take life too seriously. It's not like you're getting out alive.
Exactly.
And I look at it and think,
It's
you know
the
what?
same with like
They're right.
material possessions. You can't take it with you.
No.
Yeah. No
Can't-
pockets in the
can't bloody
crowd.
take- Yes,
No,
it's
yeah,
so true.
yeah.
Going back to when your sister died and how people were with you. So what we've just been talking about is how we the three of us are in agreement that unless somebody's been through that kind of loss, they don't really know how to react. But you're also talking about young people. We were young. So when you reflect on that and you go back, do you think that they could have dealt with it better for you? Could they have handled you better? Do you think actually we've got a kind of phenomena whereby most people aren't equipped to know what to say? Because I think that's how we feel about it. I think it's not actually somebody's fault. They're just not equipped to know what to do. But for you, what was that like with your immediate friends, for example, all being young men?
I guess it was different for me because although we're lads, we're quite connected. I've still got the connections with them now as we were back then. And I think because my sister was part of those groups, we were like a family. So it wasn't a case of people saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. We all came together in disbelief that she'd gone. And I think everyone was with everyone, but we're all, I mean, you know them all the friends, Tommy, George, Lidsey and all that lot. We're lads, but we're not lads. We're not, you know, we all give each other a hug and a kiss. We all love each other as brothers, you know, and I think having that network around you really helped at that time because we all came together. I think if it was different and she, you know, she wasn't known to them all and they didn't feel the same way as I did about her, then I think it might have been a bit different. I don't remember people saying stuff to me that I didn't like or I didn't understand or didn't want to hear.
You didn't not feel supported. I suppose it
we
was
were
a
supported.
loss to them as well, you know.
Massive loss to
Yeah.
them.
Well, you moved in the same circles because there's such little age gap between you.
Yeah.
You know, we all knew each other. And we also lived in a very small place, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, everybody, you do know each other like that.
Everyone knew everyone. And
And do people still talk to you about Alexa now? Or do you find that's dropped off a bit?
it's definitely dropped off. The one thing I will say about my sister is she had some good friends and they've kept her memory going. Olivia especially has kept her best friend, kept her memory going. And that, for a lot of people, I mean, I was talking about James Markson earlier. He's a very good friend. He passed away in a car accident. And you don't see anything about him. Never seen anything about him since. But social media wasn't as prominent back then. And even now, like Adam's died recently. It's his birthday in November. I should have put something on social media, but I don't like doing that. If Rachel wanted to do it, his widow, then fair play, and I probably would have commented on it and probably shared it or something. But I don't like doing too much of that. But my sister has always been, her memory's been kept alive because of what she meant to people, I guess. And that means a lot.
I suppose that, like, I mean, I know having lost my brother recently, the bond between a brother and sister is, and you know, because you've got a sister, the sibling bond is like something
Yeah.
that you cannot explain to anybody else.
No.
And losing a sibling is like losing part of yourself, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I feel what you're feeling. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And like, I'm an adult now, and I can't imagine having been 24 and having to go through
Yeah.
what I've gone through recently.
Yeah.
So it's just, it doesn't ease with the
No.
time. You know, 22 years is
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
in a lifetime of growing up together, is it?
It's nothing. And she was my best mate, and we spent the last day together weirdly because she phoned me. She went out, she used to hang around with the Silhillian rugby lads. And she phoned me, she goes, "Oh, none of them are out today, do you mind if I hang with you?" And I said, "Yeah, fine." Went to the crab mill. Vigsy was there, did some roast potatoes, went to Henley, stayed in Henley all day, and I spent the last day with her, which was unusual because we'd spent time together, but not that much time. And then the next day she passed. But I had that day with her, and you've got to cherish that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ross, you touched on this earlier, that you have had some counselling and bereavement support, and you rated it. Did you go for that immediately after, or did you wait a period of time?
Long time after.
Yeah. And if somebody is listening to this podcast who identifies with you and your story and losing their sister, their brother, would you recommend bereavement counselling?
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And
The quicker you can get your head around it and learn to live with it, the better. I didn't. I got back to work. I did everything I could to take my mind off it, you know, and put it to bed, because we're men and we do that. You don't deal with things. The best thing you can do is deal with it. Hit it head on and just deal with it. And no one knows what to do. You know, people can advise, people can say, do this, do that, do the other. You've got to do what's right for you. But the best thing to do is go and speak about it.
Yeah.
I
don't think it's... I think... So I had bereavement counselling after I lost my mum. And my sister is now a bereavement counsellor. There's the irony.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a period of time where it's not useful. I think you need to, like you've just said, you need to get your own head around it first and then realise where it's affecting you. And that at that point, therapists can step in and help you, can't they?
Yeah, you've got to do your grieving, and you've got to come to terms with what's happened. And the younger the person is, and the closer you are, the harder that is. I think everything will happen as it's supposed to. I feel life does that to you. You will go when you're ready to go, but you've got to deal with your grief and learn to live with your new situation, and then you can start and look to heal and get the help you need to better that.
I know that my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, I mean, she's a young widow, and when he died, they offered her bereavement counselling, but they said it would be 3 months, at least 3 months after.
Sophie always says it's just like, well, it's not just bereavement. I think it's any significant trauma that they say you need a certain amount of time to actually process it cognitively yourself before you could even start to unpick it.
Well, I'd never had any after car accidents. I'd never had any off people that I've lost. And that built up and built up. And I think last time Claire and I had our problems, that's when I realised that I needed to go and deal with this stuff, because I never had dealt with it. I've never spoken to anyone.
Were you reluctant to do it then at first, do you think?
No, I've never been reluctant to do it.
I think we don't realise the impact it has on all of our life, like our relationships, like you said, the way you treat people, talk to people, things you do, all those little traumas and the build-up of grief and loss, it has a massive impact on everything.
Yeah.
I think, you know, significant loss like that, it's a sadness that resides in you forever. It doesn't really matter if 10 years have passed, if 20 years have passed, if a lifetime has passed. It's there, and it changes us. You know, and I like to think it makes us more compassionate and more understanding. Sometimes it makes us more short-tempered and less fucking tolerant as well.
Oh, I was just about to say that. I am short-tempered and very low tolerance, and I think that my whole life and what's happened has made me like that. People go, "Oh, you're grumpy," and then people laugh and go, "No, it's just misunderstood." I am.
I love that.
I am
like pink.
I am grumpy. I am miserable. I am intolerant. I don't suffer fools. I haven't got time to suffer fools. I'm quite abrupt, rude to people. I'm not like that if you're in the friend zone and you are in that environment. But if someone in the street does something, I can be really rude to them, and I walk away. Why were you like that? Why did you do that?
Do you recognise it?
I
then?
recognise it.
What,
Yeah.
straight away?
Straight away. I try
Do you
to
think
be
it's
nice.
beyond is it beyond you to, has that got worse as you've got older? Or do you think that's been
'Cause that
since
could be
you've lost?
personality as well.
Yeah, and
You know,
it's
it can-
age. We're less tolerant
Yeah.
as we age, aren't we?
You can.
Do you think you became, sorry to bombard you with questions, but, you know, did you notice that about yourself more so after losing your sister?
I think so. I think it stems from back then. I think, and it's got worse as I've got older. Because as you get older, you do get grumpy. I get that. But I think it stems from that. I am angry about certain things, the way your life goes, and I think there's anger in there. I used to go boxing twice a week to try and get rid of that anger. And there's nothing worse than having a really shit day and going boxing and someone beats the shit out of you. You walk away, you feel
Like an
refreshed.
insult.
Yeah, you feel refreshed. You're like, I deserve that. I deserve that today. Well done. But I guess I don't want to be like that. That's my point. I don't want to be like that, but I am like that. And I'll say something to someone, I thought, that's really rude. Why have I just done that? And I will analyse it to the point.
A
I
lot of
think,
people aren't self-aware like that, though.
Yeah,
That's
they're
very
just
good
rude.
that you recognise it.
yeah, I have said to people in the past that I'm really sorry. I was out of order. I shouldn't have said that. You know, it was out of court. Sometimes I think, you know, fuck them, I can't be asked.
You deserved it.
Yeah, they deserved it, and I carry on walking. And then,
We've just done a whole episode. I wrote an episode recently called "Is It Grief?" Right, and it's about our tolerance to carrying on. It's quite a funny episode.
Yeah.
I was saying to
Yeah.
her, well, in this situation, I've reacted like this, and I try and understand: is it because I've just lost my dad, or is it because I just find you fucking annoying?
Yeah.
Or is it because I've lost my dad and I lost my mum and I've lost a load of friends along the way, and actually I'm too sad in my soul to deal with your shit?
yeah.
And actually trying to decipher whether our characters are informed by grief all the time, or is it just transient, and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, and sometimes I see an image that will make me cry and in other times it doesn't have any bearing on me at all. And, you know, sometimes I see somebody that looks like my mum and it takes my breath away, and other times I think, well, she looks like my mum. You know,
Yeah.
you're never prepared for what will happen, and it happens day to day, doesn't it? All of the
All
time.
the time.
Music, smells,
Yep.
sights, seeing old friends, seeing old places, like all of these things, they trigger
Yeah, totally.
such
Yeah.
things in us.
Yeah.
And I just think it's down to how you feel on that day as to whether you're going to be rude to that poor sod on the street, or whether you're going to be intolerant with somebody doing something at work, or I'm going
Yeah.
to be rude to the man in the gym. You know,
Yeah.
it is like that. Would you describe for us, for our listeners, how you felt in the days, weeks, and then months, and even years following your sister's death? So for a lot of people who might be listening to our podcast, they may have just lost somebody, and the three of us sat here, we know what that feels like. For me, it was a mixture of things: utter disbelief, anger, all of those things. But for you, when you were 24,
Yeah.
how was it immediately after?
Numb.
Yeah.
Completely numb. You don't really feel anything. It's just complete disbelief. You're trying to get your head around it. You can't get your head around it. You're never going to get your head around it. But in those early days, you are just trying to survive. I remember I smoked fag after fag after fag when I smoked that night, and I ended up being sick because I smoked that many fags. There's no need for me to do that, but you just don't know what you're doing. You're out of control. And I remember going to the crab mill because some friends took me out just to get me out of the house. Sat in the crab mill, and we'd been on a boat with a friend's yacht not long before she died. And David Gray came on Sail Away with me, and I lost it. I had to get out of the pub. That was tough. And then you have moments where you're just dealing with it. And as time goes on, you learn to deal with it better. And life moves so fast, as we all know, and you just adjust to things. But you'll be driving along one day, and all of a sudden you'll go into that dark pit of doom where you think about it, and it drives you to the point you think, I've got to stop, I've got to snap out of it, I've got to snap out of it. And you snap out of it, and then you go on to something else. You've got to keep yourself busy, but you've got to allow yourself time to grieve. So you have your moments away from people.
And what about when you compare, you know, your most recent significant loss is Adam.
Yeah.
It's only a few months ago. And obviously, it was a very different situation. It wasn't a sudden death. It was one that we all knew was coming.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming for some time. You're also 20 years older. And so how would you describe the difference with those losses?
That's a very good question, because that is raw. And I guess Adam was my best mate, and we knew it was coming. That's different. My sister was done in a split second. He was, what was he, 2 years?
2 years,
Two,
yeah.
2.5 years. And we didn't know it was coming. We didn't know when. And we watched his progress and how he was doing. And at one point you thought he was going to be all right. And then another point you think, he's on the way out. And nothing really prepared me for it. But I went that week to see him in his last week. And I went twice, I think 2 or 3 times. And I thought, because someone's there in front of you, still alive, but dying.
It's watching that person, isn't it?
There's fuck all you can do for them.
It's certainly a feeling of helplessness watching somebody go like that. It's, I think it's one of the hardest things that you'll ever go through, especially somebody you know and love, somebody you've known and loved as a strong character, a young, strong character, and you are watching them deteriorate.
He lived my sister's death with me. He lived through all that. We've been through a lot together, and now it's happening to him. And although I got over it a lot quicker, I get upset when I talk about it, but I don't. It's not the level of grief, because I'm older, I'm wiser. It's not the level of grief that you get when I lost my sister, because that was off the scale. But it was important to us, and to watch him go through that painfully was not nice. And I think we all knew it was coming, but when it actually happens, it still doesn't prepare you for that. I think Rachel messaged me. I was out in the tractor, down in the garden near the polytunnel, just doing some bits, and she texted me, and I thought, I don't want to read that. I read the first bit as well. I don't want to read that. But being impatient, I had to read it, and I just lost it, because it's more or less weeks. He'd been told it's weeks, and from the point he was told it was weeks, that's when he just went.
It was rapid.
Straight down. Yeah, he gave up fighting it, but we always knew he would. But yeah, it's no easier seeing that and going through it, but you learn to live with it a lot quicker. You learn to deal with it a lot quicker. It's kind of the death, the funeral, out the other side. I mean, Rachel will be living with it now, and I said, she was moving house, and I said, take some time for yourself. I said, when you get in that new house, that's when it will hit you. I said, you'll sit down, all this stress of moving house will be over, your family home will be gone, you'll sit down in a new house, just you and Georgia, and it'll hit you. I said, and that's when you need your mates.
I know, it's so true, Ross, isn't it? Because I think what happens in the event of somebody dying, you've just done it, I've just done it, you've done it before. We spring into action because we've got a purpose, and we go, I'll plan a funeral. It'll be a great send-off. I'll make sure everybody's there. I've got to do all the legal things that go with it. I've got to do this, that and the other. And then it ends. And then you find yourself alone, don't you?
Because everyone goes back to their normal lives.
Everyone gets back into their normal lives.
And they have to.
And they have to. You have to at a point, and you've got to get on, because if you let it in and let it torment you, you're never gonna heal. You're never going to get on with your life. Like I said, you've got to deal with your grief, and you've got to accept, it's acceptance. This has happened, and you've got to do what you've got to do to get past this point. You'll never forget it. You'll never be past it, but you'll learn to live with it, and you will get to that point where you are comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I think for me, my brother was ill as well. He had cancer, and he was poorly for about 2 years. So
it's very, very similar situation.
He was only 45 when he died. And I don't know about you guys, but I sort of felt like, sort of leading up to the end, I was so upset about knowing he was going to die. Every time I saw him, I thought, this could be the last time. I know that, he looks like shit. I know that he's going to be soon. Trying to soak up every minute with him and not make it really sad and all about death, because he never wanted to talk about it. But after he died, I was fucking exhausted. I was drained. I was
Yeah.
physically drained. I was mentally drained. And we planned the funeral and everything. And then after that, I just basically shut down. I was just like, I just can't. Like, grieved so much while he was poorly that time afterwards, I was like, thank God he's not in fucking pain anymore.
I think you're very much like Rachel. For her to stand up at Adam's funeral and do what she did, I don't know how she did it, because they asked me to speak and I said, I can't do that. I can't. I don't. I'm not that. I'm so emotional about stuff that I don't think I can stand up and do that. And I certainly couldn't have done it there. But the way she stood up and did that, but she lived it with him. She like you, she understands he's not in pain anymore. And I think she'd accepted it, and she'd got to that point where she was exhausted. But it must have been a massive pressure release off her, and you probably, because you've been living that life and you don't want to see them go through that life. And it's not, you don't want to go through that life either. It's just as hard for you to go through it as it is for them. You're left with the trauma. They've gone. Yeah, they're out of pain. You've still got that pain, but you've learnt to live with it over the last couple of years, and you're kind of halfway there with the grief side of it. And I think you've learned to live with it, and you're now living with it, and you'll carry on. You'll have your moments where you completely lose it, break down, and you're upset about things. But you've had that build up. I think when you lose somebody, bang, sudden like that, out the blue, that is a massive smack in the face.
It's trauma. That's massive trauma,
Massive
isn't
trauma.
it? Yeah.
You go numb.
Yeah.
You're shaking like a shitty dog. You don't know how to control yourself. You don't know what to do, how to get out of the situation. Everything goes through your head.
Fight or flight, isn't it?
Fight or flight,
what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you then you begin to start and manage that and come out the other side. Whereas when it's 2 years in the making, you have that initial fuck, we're going to lose them, and how serious is this? And there your questions, how serious? They're still here, so they're not dead. There's hope.
It's not immediate.
Where there's life,
it's the
there's
hope that kills you, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And you think maybe they're wrong, maybe the doctors are wrong, maybe this, maybe that. And then, Rachel said to me, she said, it is a brain tumour, because I went and saw him when he was not good. And I said, do you think you've had a breakdown? And he sort of said, yeah, maybe. And then he started sending silly messages and whatnot. And I said to Rachel, I said, this isn't right. Something's not right. She said, the physio's coming around tonight. And she said, the physio got round there, a friend of his, and she said, he needs an ambulance now. And they took him into Worcester, and she phoned me, I don't know what it was that night, a couple of days later. They'd done some scans. He's got a brain tumour. Wow. And his mum died of a brain tumour. And his mum didn't last long. And I thought, wow. Anyway, I said, what is it? They said, we don't know. And eventually she said to me, she told me what it was. She phoned me, I was in the pub on a Friday night. She phoned me and she broke down in tears, and she said what it was. And she goes, don't Google it. So you Google it.
You Googled it,
You Google it. And when you read up on it, you think, yeah, he's fucked. He ain't going to last long.
Not going to come back from that.
He lasted a lot longer than I thought he would. He fought it well,
That's the will to live, isn't it?
It's the will to live.
Yeah.
But while there's life, there's hope. And I thought, he's doing all right. But deep down, I knew he wasn't going to make it. But you don't think about that. You think about the fact that he's doing all right. He's up and about. He's still alive. He's still here. Yeah.
It's also very confusing, isn't it, when it's somebody who's not old.
Yeah.
So they've got their youth on their side, and you're seeing this treatment have this profound effect, and then they go downhill again, and then they come back from it, and then they go downhill again. Yeah. And that was the nature for him, wasn't it? I don't know if it was like that for your brother. Was it more
He
gradual?
was up and down, but then for the last year, he was more down than he was up, if you know what I mean. But initially, he was like, yeah, I'm feeling great, and, having treatment and whatnot. And my mum thought that, this is it. He's going to be cured, and it's not going to happen. But having worked in it, seeing it day in, day out, in the flesh, as it were, I was trying to prepare her that, this is not going to go away.
This is not a cure for this.
Yeah, great if we can get some time, but this is not going to go away. And it was more trying to manage expectations, because none of them are medical, none of them ever worked in that. They just thought, my mum, she's an Catholic Irish lady, thought if I just pray, it's going to disappear. She's full of hope. And,
Well, that's the one thing we've not touched on in this interview, and it's probably a good way. I've got a couple of questions to close that are a bit more general, but you and I have done a discussion about being a sibling and losing a brother or sister, and actually how that impacts your relationship with your parents. So we know, don't you? Because what happens more often than not is all the emphasis they had for 2 children or 3 children or 4 children
it's massive.
is on you. And actually, it's not their fault. It's just the natural order of things. But, you know, I'm lucky enough to know your mum and dad, and they're lovely people. But and you've got a brother, an older brother too, haven't you? But
Yeah,
he's not local, is he?
No,
So
fortunately.
a lot of that.
But I've got stories about that. So we're always a close family. Apart from brother, he was his half brother from dad's first marriage. But he would never come to the house. He stopped coming to the house. He lived in Brighton anyway, but he wouldn't come up. And I phoned him one day. I said, "Why won't you come up?" And he says, "Oh, I can't be around the house." He said, I can't see the pictures. I can't." And he was never that close to my sister. He was always in the background down in Brighton. And me and he and I always got on really well. And Lou was kind of in the background, and he'd buy me a nice Christmas present. He'd get her a shit one. He was kind of a lad's lad. He wasn't really into her that much. Although we all got on. And he said to me, the pictures, and I can't cope with it, and this, that, and the other. I said, "Can't cope with it?" I said, "You try sitting around that table with an empty chair every fucking night, having dinner with your parents." Yeah? I said, "You can't cope with coming up and looking at a few pictures." And it kind of got really awkward after that point.
How did he take that?
He really didn't give a monkeys. We're estranged now completely. Life's gone in different ways, and he's gone to Dubai, and he's cut his family off that I'm still in touch with. He's gone off with a new family. It's families, and it guts me. I've lost my sister. I've lost my brother. The way I look at it now is I'm an only child, because he's made some decisions. I feel some silly decisions in his life. I've made some, I'm not Daz White. I should have supported him through certain things he's been through, but we've kind of got to that point now where he's gone, and we haven't spoken since COVID. Am I bothered about that? No, not really. It doesn't faze me, because I've lost my sister. If I can lose my sister and get through that, I can lose him. I can lose anyone. Yeah, because she was my best mate, and to lose her and go through that, anyone that dies around me now isn't going to faze me. Yeah.
The worst thing's already happened.
The worst thing that could ever happen to me has happened. Yeah. So that's that. So I sat around the table when she first died, and I come home at night, we were having dinner, and my parents would be talking at me. And I was never the talkative one. She was always the talkative one. You could never get a word in. Gabba, 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 gabba. I used to sit there, eat my dinner and go to bed. Or go to my bedroom and watch telly. Because she was that's the way she was. So they sat there talking one night, and I sat there and I said, "Can you stop?" "What do you mean?" I said, "I've got nothing to say. I don't want to talk. I want to eat my dinner and go to bed." "Well, we want you to talk to us."
Because they were used to that interaction.
I said, "But..."
So they were expecting
put a
it from
lot
you.
of pressure on me to fill her boots. And I said, "I'm not her. I always sit here every night talking, getting up, saying a few words, but nothing much, because she took the stage. She was the one that did all that." And I said, "I can't fill her boots." I said, "I'm not that person." And it got really, really bad at one point. And I was losing my shit with them. And they were like, "We don't know why you're being like this." I said, "Because you're trying to make me fill her shoes, and I'm not her. I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing like I've always done. I'm just being me." But they couldn't understand that.
Why can't you be her and you?
Yeah.
These are both of you, please.
She's gone. You've got to. We've only got you now. You've got to be there for us. You've got to this. And the best thing they did was move to Cornwall. They moved to Cornwall, and they let me get on with my life, and they got on with their life, and that helped them heal, and it got me away from the pressure
the
of that.
focus all the time.
All the focus all the time. Yeah.
And now when you see them, it's more, it's by choice. It's like, it's no pressure.
No pressure.
You
no
have more
relaxed.
fun and,
They do put pressure on me to go around. "Oh, your dad likes to see you on a Saturday." I said, "I know that." I said, "But I can't commit every Saturday." "Yeah, I want to go to the pub. Yeah. I want to go shoot. I want to do this. I've got kids. I've got a life. I can't be there all the time." "Oh, but it's a highlight of his week." And I said, "I know that." I said, "But I can't be there all the time.
Yeah.
You can't do it, can you? I do what I can,
And they're
I've always
aging as
done
well,
what I
and
can.
that's a challenge in itself as they get
Well,
older.
he's 88 now, and he wants to see me all the time, as he's always done. But I said, I can't commit to that. But don't forget, my sister was his life. They both had horses together. They both went riding together. He retired. He got his whole life ahead riding with her. That was his passion, her passion. She'd gone.
Yeah.
He got nothing else.
So you lost your best friend, but so did he.
So did he. And he sat in a chair like a little old man, and I thought, he aged overnight. His whole life collapsed. Yeah. And he's not had anyone. We used to go and do a bit together, but I've got different interests to him. His life was her and horses. Yeah. And he made it his life. He always looked after me. He got me into shooting, and he did he did what he needed to do, but I never had that bond like he had with my sister. We're always, don't forget me wrong, it was always a good bond, but it was never like he got with my sister. And I was always kind of a free spirit. I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I'm like that now, and he kind of went off with my sister and did that. But the day she died is the day he died.
Oh.
You know.
Do you think that is the case? Is he never really got over it? I mean, no, you're not suggesting that nobody ever really gets over, especially the loss of a child. But like, we find ways to manage and get on and do things. Did he just not then?
The biggest thing is, Mum said for years, he needs a hobby. He needs a hobby. I said, no, he needs a hobby. He gets up, reads the paper, falls asleep in a chair. Gets up, reads the paper a bit more, falls asleep in a chair. Yeah, it's got worse as he got older, but his hobby was her and horses. He's never replaced that with anything. And he's put a lot of pressure on my mum to fulfill his days and everything else. She sits there, she goes, I wish you'd just go and do something. Go away, get out from under my feet.
I think a lot of women feel like that about men when they retire. We used to hear it a lot.
They probably do. But the fact that he's just never taken on another hobby, another sport or anything. He's just not.
And also it's generational, isn't it? So our parents, their generation, particularly men, couldn't talk as well.
No.
I'm glad to say that our age group, people like you, will talk. They will come on a podcast and share their feelings about things. Yeah. But it's not the norm. Even at our age group, I'd still say there's a vast, there's not a vast majority, but there's certainly a proportion of men that would find that hard. But certainly our parents' generation,
100%,
men, it just shut up and put up, get on with it. And that's so sad.
As a family, we still struggle to talk about Lou. We should talk about her a lot more, but we just don't. Because it hurts too much.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's easy to avoid it. Easier to avoid it. Yeah,
just avoid it. Yeah.
I think we've got some more. They're a bit more whimsical questions to end on. So we're not going to send you out of here feeling absolutely.
Have we covered everything?
We've covered a lot. I think
a lot. Yeah, there were a few questions actually that came about naturally. So that was really nice. It was a lovely flow. Yeah. So we ask. We've got a set of questions we ask everybody, whether they've come to talk to us about somebody particular, whether they're a reverend, whatever. We've had all sorts. What do you think happens when we die? Look at his face. The answers are varied.
I hope to God we go to an amazing paradise that's a fucking beach that you can't see the end of. That's just but I don't know. Do the lights just go out? I remember something sticks in my head. I remember seeing something on telly. It was American, and some guy had died, but he came back. They managed to get him back, but he said in the minute that he died, he said it felt so amazing. And he was going off, and he said, I came up my body and I was looking at myself, and I knew that I'd died, but I was happy with it. I was okay with it. And I went off. But he said he didn't experience death because he wasn't dead. He got more or less dead, and then they managed to get him back to life.
More or less dead. Title of your book.
Yeah. He experienced morphine. That's what he experienced.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that's an opiate drug reaction.
And that's great, isn't it? I mean, if we felt like that when we die, fucking happy days.
Yeah,
just send me back to the ecstasy days when it's this is great, right? I would love that. I would absolutely love for it to be like that. I'm a big believer in there's life after death. I've seen a couple of clairvoyants. The one I went to the Claire salon to see, and that's another story. That was really bizarre. Claire said, go and see her. I said, I don't want to see her.
I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember Claire coming in and talking to me about it.
I said, I don't want to see her.
Oh, no, she was at VIP. It was some time
VIP,
ago.
yeah. It was in Gemma's room, Gemma's beauty room at the back.
I'm going to pop the fire on its collar.
So she said, you need to go and see her. I don't want to go and see her. This woman's very well respected. She goes to America. She helps find dead people. She's in this spirit world. She knows everyone.
Do you remember her name? We'll find her.
Claire will tell you. I did have a business card.
If it comes to you, let us know.
What was her name? So so I said, all right, do you know what? Whatever, I'll go and see her. So I went in there and I said, don't you lot say, she didn't know that Claire booked me in. She didn't know that I was related to anyone in the salon. Paula, her name was. I said, don't tell her I'm anything to do with you lot. I want to go in there. She doesn't know who I am. Yeah. So Claire said, that's fine. So I walked in, sat down. Little beauty room.
Was your feeling when you went in, what a load of nonsense? Or
no. I'm open-minded to stuff like this. I think, let's see what she can tell me. So I walked in, sat down. She goes, you're related to someone in the salon. And I went, nope, you are. And I said, who? She goes, I don't know who. She says, but there's something in this salon that you are close to. I've gone, right. I said, I'm not going to tell you. So
Not gonna make you work
I'll
for
tell
your
you
money.
after. I'll tell you after. Right. So she turned around to me. She's okay. She goes, let's have a look. And straight away she went, someone in the spirit world. And I went, yeah. She goes, who is she? I said, you tell me. She said, okay. She said, it's a girl. I went, yep. She said, I can't give you a name. She said, but all I can tell you is I've got a lot of pain in my neck and my chest. And for the viewers, my sister came off a horse and she broke her neck and crushed her chest. So she said that to me and I said, yeah. She goes, who is it? I thought, well, now you've said that, I can tell you. I said, it's my sister. She said, okay. She pulled another tarot card and there's a girl on this card with a tear running down her face. She said, she misses you. I've gone, fucking hell. And she sat there and what did she say? She said she wants me to tell you that she's okay. And she went into a few bits. And then she sat there and she went very quiet and she went pale. What's she doing? And I said, are you all right? Sweat started pouring out of her head. And I went, you're worrying me now. Are you okay? She couldn't speak and she went all weird like that. And I sat there, fucking hell, I've got to get out of here. What's she doing? Yeah. And I went, I'm not comfortable with this. What are you doing? And she couldn't speak to me. And I nearly got to the point I went out and she just stopped and she went, sure, I'm ever so sorry about that. And I sat there and I said, what the fuck just happened? She says, that usually happens when they try and talk through me. And I went, I can't cope with this. I can't cope with this. And I was up and out the door. And I went out and Claire said, you all right? And I went, no, I'm fucking not. No. I am not okay. I am not okay. She came running out. She went, I'm really, really sorry about that. She says, and Claire went, what the hell happened? And it's laughable. You can laugh about it now, but at the time, it was really fucking scary.
Scary, yeah.
And I think she knew too much. She went through a lot of other stuff, which I won't bore you with, but she knew too much about me and the situation.
It's quite specific in the physical symptoms that she talked about as well.
My niece, I was down in London with her, and she said, oh, you need to speak to my friend who's a clairvoyant. And I said, I absolutely don't. She said, no, you need to do it because my life again had taken another shift. And she said, you need to do it. So I said, okay, let's do it. So she sat there and we talked about all life stuff again. And as she sat there, she said, I've got 6 people in the spirit world. I went, fuck off.
Not again. Let me get out my eulogies. Hang on.
And I really want to connect with this. But what she told me about my life and everything else upset me. And I wasn't in the headspace to deal with that. And I wanted to go, who are they? She goes, they're really funny. 6 people that wanted to talk to me through her. That's unheard of, I reckon.
Yeah.
You go to these, I've heard people that go to these audiences
Yeah.
where maybe there's one hanging around. She said there's 6 people. She goes, they're all really funny. They want to talk to you.
They're all having a party together.
Yeah.
And I could, weasel, wheel, sausage. Sausage wasn't there at that point, but I'm thinking, it's all the lads that I've lost at work and they all want to come and haunt me and torture me for all the shit that I gave them
Give you
at
some
work.
banter.
And I've got her details and I keep thinking, I want to go back and ask her who those 6 are. Are they still there? Do they want to talk? And I'm thinking, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself.
I'd love to. We've tried a couple and we've interviewed a couple as well.
Yeah.
And it's been mixed, I'd say.
Yeah.
Diplomatically mixed.
I think though, sometimes I think to myself, they know so much that there's got to be something else.
There's something there.
It's got to be.
There's I believe there's something there. I believe something happens. I think your body dies. I think your spirit stays.
Like an energy.
Yeah, like an energy.
Yeah.
And I think they know too much. That like Paula said too. She called Gemma in because Gemma was Chris was Gemma's boyfriend, but it was my sister's ex-boyfriend. And she sat there. She said, "You were the guy." She said, "Yeah." She said, "There's someone in the spirit world that says he needs to go in. He's got a box in a bedroom, at his house. He knows the box. He won't open it. He needs to go and open it because there's stuff in there that will help him
Get through.
help closure with it." Yeah.
Wow.
So she said, right, okay. So she went home. She said to Chris, "Come and sit down. This Paula's been in. She went to my room. She called me in. She said to someone in the spirit world that said, you've got a box in that room upstairs." And he said, "I have, yeah. It was my sister's box that my mum gave to him." And she said, "She's told me you've got to open it and it will bring closure." So he sat there and he lost it. And he went upstairs and he sat in the room for about an hour, I think she said. And it was one of those boxes you can't open. It's a secret box. You've got to work out how to open it. I think he was there so long she couldn't work out how to open it. And he eventually worked out how to open it. And there's all stuff in there. He's never told me what it was. And he's never told Gemma what it was. But he said it was right. there was stuff in there that has helped him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Paula told Gemma to tell him to go and open that box.
Let's get Paula on the show.
I think
Yeah.
we need to find out. The thing,
Find out who she
I
is.
think this is like my dad was very, very spiritual, really connected to the other world. He did astral projection, transcendental analysis. He was a fascinating man. And he and I, gypsies used to come into our salon in Henley when I worked with Claire every year. Do you remember the proper travelling gypsies?
Yeah.
And I remember them saying to, again, I'm deviating, but they came in and told me a load of things that were so specific.
Yeah.
That I was writing it on till roll, and I went home to Dad and I said, look what this thing, I can't believe it. And I was young and more impressionable, but they weren't flashy. You weren't paying them. They were going to curse you with heather if you didn't listen to what they had to say. And I remember my dad saying to me, and I thought this was such a brilliant way to describe it. He said, there's phenomena in the world all the time. There's magic in the world all the time. There's phenomena. He said, some people can play the piano by ear. They sit, they listen, and they put their hands on the piano and they play the piece of music. And no one in the world can explain to you how that is possible. No one. Why you can do it and you can't. He said, so why can't some people listen to messages from people who have passed on?
Yeah.
And I thought,
Nice way.
absolutely brilliant. But it's certainly a way that would make even the most sceptical people question it, because there is phenomena in the world that we can't explain.
You look at this world, right? Look at the magnetic force fields and everything else that goes on in it. There is something there, and it's electric, I think. There's something there that connects everything, and it's all... I'm not into this, but there's definitely something that goes on in the whole planet that connects everything and all that, and it is electric, and it electrifies things. And look at when you talk about someone and your hair stand up on the back of your neck. What's that all about?
Yeah.
What is that all about?
It's a connection we can't
It's a connection.
Like we can sense danger.
Yeah.
That's like an innate
Or
feeling,
if
isn't
something
it?
happens and you get that feeling, don't you? You can exactly
Just
that.
know, don't you?
Yeah.
You just
Absolutely.
know.
There's that sixth sense and all that sort of shit that goes on, and you can't explain it. You don't know. None of us know. But there's too much there for me to think there's nothing after.
Yeah.
So it would be ideal to go to a lovely heaven, and that would be ideal.
Well, I don't want to
With
go
all
to
your-
a shit place.
With all your friends.
Life's shit enough. Let's go to a
Yeah,
nice place.
I know. Yeah.
But you know what? If you disappear, you fall asleep, and it's darkness, and you never wake up. Do you know what? That's okay as well.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't know any different.
You don't
That's
know
the way
any
I look
different.
at it.
No, when you're
Yeah.
gone, you're gone.
As long as you're not in some kind of purgatory where you're not really sure what's happening.
Yeah.
Or something really,
I
really...
don't-
Or if you
I
go
don't-
to work every day, fuck
I
that.
don't.
Or you wake up and you're
Yeah,
in the same
in your
life,
job,
but it's
you're like,
worse.
I don't believe in heaven and hell. And
Do you
and-
believe
and
in
people.
God?
No,
No.
But you believe in something.
I believe something's there.
Yeah.
I don't believe in
Like the
religion.
universe
I
type
don't believe in
thing.
God. I believe in the universe, and I believe that why we're all here. I mean, you can go really deep with this, and I do go really deep with it sometimes, because it energizes me when I think about it. When you think this is the Earth, and then you've got planets, and then you've got the solar system that just goes and goes and goes, right? Where does it end? It doesn't end.
Yeah.
Right, and when you get really deep with that, it
Yeah.
sends you into a state of, wow,
Yeah.
what the fuck
Yeah.
are we doing here?
It's either
Yeah.
wow or oh my God. I
Yeah,
don't
oh my
know.
God.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing here? Who
Yeah.
are we? What are we?
And let's stop thinking we're that important.
Yeah. Because really we're not.
Yeah. And we're in these bodies.
Got this
but-
finite amount of time to,
Yeah, if we walk out there tomorrow and we get hit by a bus and we're splattered across the floor,
That's
yeah, right, that's it.
Everything
That's it. What?
stops.
And it's pretty gross. No one wants to see it. They like seeing us in this state, but what?
Yeah.
As soon as you're inside out, no one likes it. It's just
Unless
Sorry.
they come to me. Just scrape them off the road and
I
send them
think-
to me.
We've got one question we'll end on. I think you did touch on it earlier, and it's quite a good one. But if there were a way for you to know your number, would you want to know?
absolutely,
Would you? Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
You're one of the minority. Most people that we
Say
interview
no.
say no.
Yeah.
Most
Really?
do. Yeah. And
No,
you were,
I
that was
want to know,
without.
because I'll be a complete dickhead to the point I die. I'll fly helicopters. I'll drive cars off
Yeah.
ramps. I'll do it because I know I'm not going to die.
You'd be like, fuck it, I'm all
I'll
right.
have the
Yeah.
best life
It's
because I
not
know I'm not
today.
going to die.
It's not today.
It's not today. They're like, are you really going to bungee jump off that bridge? Yeah, because I'm not dying today. I'm dying on that day.
I've got a week Thursday, all right?
Yeah.
And until
that.
then, I'm going to do what I want to do.
But that's like saying, that's like a cancer victim. Like, they are given an estimated time of what they've got left, but they're fucked. They can't go and live their life.
Yeah, because
They've
they're
got to do
poorly.
chemo.
Yeah.
They've got to go through all this shit, yeah? Those poor bastards get to know what date they're going, not date they're going, but they know a rough area when they're going, and they can't live their life. They've got to go through all this shit trying to save their life to the point they die.
Yeah.
If I'm being told I've got till that day, I'm going to fit as much as in as I can.
Absolutely.
Money would mean nothing. Life would mean nothing. I would be
Money
doing
does mean
everything.
nothing. I mean, what is it?
It does, but we all work for money so we can go and enjoy ourselves and do the things we want to do, and that's massive. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to work every day. I want to go and enjoy myself. I want to go walking. I want to go, flying helicopters. I want to go exploring. I want to go and live my life, but I can't because I've got no money. But if I hadn't got any money, and I knew what day I was going to die, I'd go and do it anyway. I'd go and,
Credit cards, all right.
yeah, credit cards.
Yeah.
sounds
Sign me up for it.
It's fancy Tahiti, let's go.
Yeah. You've got options. If you know when you're going to die, you've got options to live your life and do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Ross,
What a beautiful end.
What a beautiful ending.
Yeah.
And can I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, A, for doing this, and B, for being so candid and so open.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. Do you know what? When you first asked me, I thought, can I do it? Can't I do it? And if you went really deep, it would have been an issue, I think, because it's stuff that I don't want to drag back up. But because it's been quite lighthearted and you can touch on stuff here and there, there's so much I could talk about my life and experiences with you guys. And I've loved being sat here talking about it. You could go really deep with it. You don't have to. I think what you do is great. And I think it's been good. Just to sit here and talk about it's good. But you've got to keep it humorous. You've got to keep it fun. And don't go too deep with things. Go deep, but don't go too deep because for me,
stick your toe in, but come back out.
For me, it would have been a real challenge if you'd have gone really deep, asking some really deep questions. It would have been.
I think we do try our very best to judge the interviewee, because sometimes you can't go anywhere near it.
No.
Sometimes you can go in and then you've got to come back again. Yeah. And sometimes, some people are almost take you by surprise and you think, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting to share so much. Everybody's different. But actually all we're trying to do is keep people talking about death, dying, grief, the whole lot.
We're all headed there, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are. I like talking about death. I don't necessarily like talking about my own experiences, but I don't mind talking about death. And I like to laugh and joke about it as well. And just treat it lightheartedly, because we are all going to die, like you said, at some point. So why not talk about it? Why be worried about it? There's no point being worried about it.
Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning into It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are
dying to talk to you.